Hey traders, TG Watkins here. It's August 28th when I'm recording this, and welcome to your free video. So also I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we had a Labor Day sale going on, save 30% on most everything in our store. Remember the code is Labor24. All right, so before we dive into that, I wanted to show you guys, well, it's all about Nvidia, isn't it? So let's see how Nvidia did with their earnings and what was reported. So come over here, click on the overnight, and well, it's down. So I've been checking this, I've been watching this up until this point. There was some jostling around, and then it just seems kind of like a steady sell-off here. It doesn't seem like anything too drastic, and I know a lot of eyes were on Nvidia, so we're trying to figure out what is, how the market's going to interpret this. It's a little bit challenging to figure out, but it seems to me that the way that the options and expectations were for this were basically hedged. That it seemed that the market wasn't exactly preparing or expecting that, there's going to be a huge move to the upside. Probably a lot of the expectations were already built in, already factored in. We already had a huge move to the upside after we had that big liquidation break, big pullback from the yen carry trade a couple weeks ago. And so, this thing might just actually be kind of priced just right. I also looked at the numbers. The numbers are positive, but of course the market is going to respond differently. You can have positive numbers and the market still does something strange. So we're just going to have to kind of see how this goes on tomorrow and how things are received with this. I'm also wondering if a little bit more with the market makers and all that maybe this is kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news situation, that everyone is expecting Nvidia to be, strong and going up and all this stuff. And basically they might have come in kind of right in a sweet spot. And so instead of the market exploding, everyone's kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. That's what we wanted it to do. Everything's good, thumbs up. And then, they can kind of sell it, take in the premium from all the option, theta decay, all that kind of stuff, and just have this kind of be a little bit of a, just kind of a wet blanket moment. Not great, not terrible. And then the big players, the market makers and all that, actually make the money. So I'm just kind of thinking that's where we're at on this. That aside, if you're looking through here, this was the whole pullback that we got market-wide from the yen carry trade and a lot of other things, and the market was just very, very overbought. If we actually look at the higher time frames, leading up into that, we can see that here market was extremely overbought and very far away from long-term moving averages. And the pullback that we got over the last few weeks happened very quickly and went right back down into previous support and tapped some of these longer-term moving averages and then came right back up. So on the surface, that looks pretty good, but it's also got to take some time to recover. I mean, this has been a pretty wild ride, and this was an absolute sprint right back up to where it came from, and the market just has to take time to digest that. So for now, this is fairly good. I know we're down here a little bit. We're just going to have to see how the market continues to digest this over the course of time. And so if the market is going to view all this as fairly good and okay and no big deal, then, we can see the market come down or price come down into this, hopefully find some support. And then if we start to move up from there, that would be fantastic. But if this is going to be the start of something worse and we need more time, we could just see this kind of whittling down like this and eventually keep going lower, and that's what you're going to have to watch for. So it's a little bit unknown right now. We do also have some economic data coming up later this week, so tomorrow and Friday, and we'll have to see how that goes. Now, another way that we can look at this, if we're looking at Microsoft, and because this gives a little bit clearer picture for what I look at, and those of you who follow me with the Moxie indicator and my teachings, you guys will know and recognize that this is just the first half of a particular move that I'm looking at. And so this move, this bounce up off of the carry trade, the yen carry trade low, while there was a move, because of the configuration of the moving averages and how these things were set up, I was expecting a pullback. And that is really what we were getting right here, is that pullback. And so this is what I've been talking to the Moxie subscribers about: Tesla, FNGU, which is a leverage ETF of the FANG stocks, Microsoft, Amazon, even the NASDAQ. They're all basically doing the same thing. This was just a bounce. this is where I was expecting price right there to run into some resistance. And now we are doing this pullback. And what we need to do is in the coming days or weeks, we need to see if this thing is going to find support and if we are actually going to start moving back to the upside. If we can, hey, great, then we're back on track. But if we can't, then more weakness, or if we continue to bounce and run into some resistance, then something like that we need to be watching out. So I'd like to think that this market is still generally bullish, but we're still kind of in the middle of this range. We don't really have a ton of information. It's not super conclusive. And to continue, if we look around at stuff like this, you can see Amazon's kind of the same thing. In fact, that pattern looks just like Microsoft. We had these really big moves to the downside over the last few weeks when basically all the big players had to reprice their math when it came to that yen carry trade, and everything sold off and we got a bunch of margin calls and all that. And then I guess something turned around and they're like, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad. This actually turns out to be a great dip. Let's buy it. Okay, so they bought it. But now we need to see if the pullback is into support or if it's into continued weakness. So another way we can look at this, FNGU. This is a leverage ETF of the FANG stocks, just kind of a fun one to look at. You should make all your decisions off of leveraged ETFs, but this one I like to kind of track, and there's still information to glean from this. So you can see here just how overbought the market was in general with the mega caps. I mean, the mega caps were seriously overbought. You can even see up through here, and a bit of a double top right through here. Again, you don't want to make all of your decisions based on a leveraged ETF, but I do find it interesting to be looking at this. And then the pullback came right down there and right into some support, and now here we are, middle of the road. So which way is it going to go? Are we going to be going up or are we going to be going down? Now, big picture, I would like to think we are in a rate cutting cycle. So remember, the market did not like when interest rates were coming up because they had to get inflation under control and all of that. And it really squashed a lot of things, including the small caps. Well, we're starting to see some of the small caps coming back. Something like Roblox, Rocket Lab, anything related to housing since interest rates are coming down. And even the IWM, KRE, those things are up and starting to do well. So either we're going to get maybe a little bit of rotation out of the mega caps and into small caps as risk on maybe comes in. And that's why something like FNGU is still in the middle. I mean, we even saw last week that the IWM was up, but the NASDAQ and the S&P were down or flat. And so, yes, there could still be a rotation happening with the idea of interest rates coming into this. But if you look at FNGU right into the underside of the daily 50, let's expect this pullback. And now it's really the question of what will this pullback do? And if it finds support, what is that going to look like? But yeah, if you kind of look over here, IWM, hey, looks like it's doing pretty well, isn't it? So still needs to do some digesting. This came right up into prior resistance. Got a little too extended, but everything so far is looking good, and the higher time frames are also looking pretty good in through here. So, I think that the market in general is still ready to go up, and I'm just wondering if we might be getting a little bit of a baton handoff to some of these smaller cap names since interest rates are going to get cut. All right, guys. So if anything, I think that is the area to be looking for. And in through here, remember, we have a 30% sale coming up this weekend with Labor Day. Hope you guys are going to enjoy the 3-day weekend. So make sure you take some time away from the screens and enjoy some friends and family. And we'll see you guys back when we get it next week. All right, thanks again. Hey, TG here with Simpler Trading. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like or comment below. Also, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you can stay up to date with my market analysis. Or you can join my free newsletter with the link in the description. Good trading, and I'll see you at the next video.